Hey all, Jason Levon, priest at St. Luke's Episcopal Church in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Welcome to another Pause and Pray. Today the church celebrates the Feast of the Ascension. Normally it's this majestic feast where the church ponders Jesus' glorious ascension into heaven. In light of recent events, though, another mass shooting where the victims were elementary school children, I can't help but personally experience today's feast in a whole different lens. If it's a feast of Jesus ascending and leaving to go to heaven, today I'm personally experiencing it as a feast of God's absence, of wondering where God is in all of this. It feels like God has left as we don't seem to be able to learn any lessons from these horrific events. And I know I'm not alone in experiencing God's absence. That's a normal, or can be a normal and natural part of the spiritual journey. Even the giants like Mother Teresa seem to experience God's absence more than God's presence in their lives. But then I encounter a scripture passage like the 28th chapter of Matthew's Gospel. The very end of Matthew's Gospel, where Jesus takes his disciples up a mountain. He's about to leave them to ascend. But what does that ascension do? But it creates space for the disciples to have their own agency and their own part as co-workers with God of writing a new chapter in salvation history. Jesus, in a sense, steps back, makes room, and then tells them, now you go and fill this space. Write a new chapter of salvation history. You have the agency to do that. You're empowered by my Spirit. The same love that dwells in me dwells in you. So go, be about that work. Maybe in light of that, we're given a holy invitation to pause and pray on this Feast of Ascension. And see it through even a new lens, where maybe it is a feast of God leaving, but leaving to make space so that we can find our own agency and find room to grow and flourish, or at least have the freedom and opportunity to do that. Seen in that light, then, the Feast of the Ascension reminds us that God isn't a puppet master. We're not puppets or pawns, and God's love isn't magic, that if we just pray hard enough, we'll swoop in and fix all of our problems. No. Today's feast reveals that God's love is so real that it longs to work through our very real lives in whatever corner of God's vineyard we might happen to find ourselves living and working in. And just like those early disciples led up that mountain, we're equipped with the same Spirit and the same love to be co-workers with God, to go out into whatever corner of God's vineyard we may happen to be in and write new chapters of love and light and abiding and enduring peace. So let's go and be about that work. Easter peace and blessings to you all.